Welcome back, guys. This is our WWE 2K15 Audio Universe Mode, episode 6, and we are on Smackdown, the last episode of week 2. And I hope you guys enjoyed NXT. I'm recording this back to back, so before, as soon as I finished with the NXT, I just jumped onto the Smackdown episode, so this is it. Hope you guys are excited, you appreciate it, and thank you for supporting the series, those who've been following me on YouTube. I'm hoping you're here now on SoundCloud. For those of you on SoundCloud already who've come across this series, I hope you'll join in, you'll enjoy. And if you're not a wrestling fan, I do apologize. But if you know people who are wrestling fans, friends, family, anyone, this is the series for them. You can show it to them, introduce it to them, and I hope they'll enjoy the series as well. But we're on Smackdown in this episode, and our first match is number 4 in the Best of 5 series for the United States title that's been going on between challenger Stone Cold Steve Austin and the champion, the big guy, Ryback. Now, if you remember, Stone Cold, he was leading 2-0 in this series until Monday. Ryback caused an upset, defeating Stone Cold to get 1 point out of this series, and we've moved on to their 4th outing in this series happening tonight. Again, the pressure is on because if the champion Ryback loses this match, he loses the title. But if he can defeat Stone Cold Steve Austin, they can move the series to the pay-per-view where they'll have the final match, the final showdown match number 5. Now, if you guys remember in the Raw episode, we looked back at how Ryback had to fight for that win in that 3rd match because it was do or die, man. If he lost that match, he would lose the title. He had to stay in this series. He pulled through, shocking Austin with the win over him on Raw. And this week, this episode, Smackdown, Stone Cold had switched up things just to anticipate Ryback having also switched up things, because this is how Ryback, he defeated Stone Cold on Raw. He changed his routine, bring in some moves that Austin hadn't expected Ryback to be using against him. And this was the case this week because Ryback had some new moves and Austin as well had some new moves, having anticipated Ryback bringing in some new moves. So it was purely back and forth action, evenly matched, because these guys were trying not to show any weakness or any openings for their opponent, who could have made use of that and gotten the big win. There would be no backtracking from the Texas Rattlesnake in this one. He was full on board, A game, everything he's got, reversing and returning whatever Ryback was giving to him in full kind. And he found his opening midway in the match, laying out Ryback with the Stone Cold Stunner, going for that pin. 1, 2, 3 quarters. 2 3/4, the champion kicks out. You can imagine the look on Austin's face. He's been building for that moment where he could finally lay the stunner on the champion. The champion kicks out, barely kicks out, 2 3/4. So Austin, he thinks, let's go submission. While Ryback is still down, Austin applies submission, holds on to it. Ryback nowhere to go, right in the middle of the ring. What will he do? Will he tap out? Will he try and reach for the bottom rope? It looks like he's passed out. The champion not responding to the ref until the 3rd time. He raises his hand, fighting his way out of that submission move and making his comeback. By this time he's spent, but he's got that one last pack of energy left, using it for this comeback against the Texas Rattlesnake, hoping to break down whatever defense Austin has built up now as Ryback fights back. Austin, again, he breaks through Ryback's offense, looking to nail stunner number 2, but Ryback reverses it, nailing Stone Cold with the first and only shell shocked of the evening. Ryback had been saving it for this moment. He gets his opportunity, nails Stone Cold with the shell shocked 1, 2, and 3. Truly another do or die match for these guys. Ryback fighting for that second victory, getting it with the shell shocked and equalizing the score to make it 2-2. And this brought out our general manager Theodore Long to announce that their final match will be at the pay-per-view Extreme Rules, and to settle the score once and for all between these two guys. What better way to do it with the US title on the line than a last man standing match, ladies and gentlemen. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the challenger, Ryback, the champion, last man standing match, US title. Who's leaving that one as champion? Who will be the man standing? We'll find out at Extreme Rules. Then we move on to our second match. This is match number 1 in the second round of the WWE Women's Tag Team Tournament that's been going on since Theodore Long introduced the titles on the first Raw of this series after WrestleMania. And there's been a tournament going on featuring some great Divas tag teams leading up to the final, where the last two teams will battle it out for the vacant titles at Extreme Rules. And tonight we would have the new team of Charlotte and Sasha Banks taking on their NXT counterparts, Dana Brooke and Emma. Now, if you remember, guys, Charlotte and Sasha Banks, they teamed up last week, and they defeated the Bella Twins in their first outing, while Dana Brooke and Emma, they advanced by defeating the team of Summer Rae and Alexa Bliss on NXT. And here they are tonight meeting, and the winner of this match meets the winner of the match between the other remaining teams, Lita and Trish Stratus versus Layla and Michelle McCool. That match will happen on Monday Night Raw next week. The two teams remaining will face each other at Extreme Rules for the titles. Now in this match, Dana Brooke and Emma surprised Charlotte and Sasha Banks by actually giving them a fight. You'd expect this duo of former women's champions, Sasha Banks and Charlotte, to have just run right through a team like Dana Brooke and Emma. But these two ladies, they put up a fight. They showed the former champions why they deserve to be in this tournament, why they are a team and a force to be reckoned with. And they put on a fight, back and forth action. A lot of the action was between Charlotte and Dana Brooke. Of course, you guys may know that these guys, that's a feud that's been building up as well on NXT in the real world, and I'm hoping that they'll take advantage, they'll bring it up, and they'll make it something good, because I think it will benefit Dana Brooke, especially working with someone as good in the ring as Charlotte. So I'm hoping it will lead to some epic matches between them. I would love to see, Dana Brooke improve, get better and better. I just have an issue with her promos. I feel they're not as natural yet. But if she's allowed to be herself without looking like, she's just read from a script, she's trying to be a character. I want her to be who she is on the inside, even though she's portraying the total diva, but let it be natural, right? Let it feel like she really is a total diva. So I'm hoping her promos would improve. That's just my little rant on Dana Brooke, but I like that she's improving in the ring. She was green, but she's getting better and better. And yeah, just the promos. They really need to work on her promos. But anyway, back to this series. She's with Emma against Charlotte and Sasha Banks. She and Charlotte were going at it for most of the match, keeping it mainly powerhouse. Well, not powerhouse, but it was a physical outing between them. While Sasha Banks and Emma, it was more technical, more grounded. Because I would think that's the kind of style that Sasha and Emma could have in the even in the real life. Yeah, grounded, slightly technical. Yeah, that's the style I'd have between them. But Sasha Banks proved to be the more technical one between her and Emma, finding an opening when Emma locked in that submission move on hers called the Emma lock. She applied it on Sasha. Sasha found an opening to reverse it and apply her submission move, the bank statement, making Emma tap out after a pretty physical match. Emma taps out. Charlotte and Sasha Banks, they advance and will be in action at Extreme Rules against the winner of Monday Night Raw's match. So we look forward to that. Congratulations to Charlotte and Sasha Banks. They advance to the final of this amazing tournament. As we move on to match number 3, match 5 in the Intercontinental Contenders Championship chase. I call it the chase. I don't want it to be another tournament, but it is another tournament in essence. And in this one, this was a big match because it featured 2 Hall of Famers, former Intercontinental Champions, former Tag Team Champions, former World Champions. We have the People's Champion, The Rock, taking on Latino Heat, Eddie Guerrero. Now you can imagine with these guys in the ring, they are purely entertainers. You know, they compete to entertain the crowd. They're good in the ring, yeah, but they want to give the crowd something they can remember from any match that they have, anything. And what better way for them to entertain the crowd by keeping it back and forth between them. The Rock getting a chance to shine, Eddie Guerrero getting a chance to shine as well. But they didn't forget that this was a contendership match for the Intercontinental title, and that's what kept things serious between them, kept things focused between them. And it built to a point where The Rock got his opportunity, laying Eddie Guerrero out with the spine buster and then going for the people's elbow, which should have done it for Eddie Guerrero, but Latino Heat, he kicks out at 2.5. Rock having to re-strategize now, picking up Eddie Guerrero for what looks like the rock bottom, only to have it reversed by Eddie, and then he he goes for the Three Amigos, which sets up the Rock for the big finisher from Eddie, not 5-star, that's RVD's, for the Frog Splash. It's Eddie Guerrero's. Preparing for that, Eddie Guerrero, he goes off the rope only to be caught by the People's Champion for the eventual rock bottom. Imagine that. Frog Splash from the rope, caught by the Rock, turned into a rock bottom. That's what happened. From the top rope, back down, rock bottom, and that one got the win for the Rock. He becomes the 5th contender in this contendership chase, joining Kurt Angle, Axel, Cody Rhodes, and Christian, who defeated The Miz this past episode of Raw. And out comes the general manager with the 6th contender for this chase. He was voted for by the fans on WWE.com, and it was none other than Rob Van Dam to make it 6 guys competing for the chance to face Randy Orton for the Intercontinental title at Extreme Rules. And these guys would compete in a contract ladder match on Monday Night Raw. There will be a contract hanging above the ring. You climb the ladder, get the contract, and sign on the dotted line to become the number 1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship. So this match will happen on Monday Night Raw, guys. Ladder match. 6 former Intercontinental Champions, big names. One guy gets to face Randy Orton at Extreme Rules. We'll find that out on Raw next week. Match number 4, the first of 2 tag matches tonight. It is the former champions, the Primetime Players, taking on former champions Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, with the current champions. Now, if you remember on our Raw episode, talked about how these guys have started a Legends challenge, Legends tag team challenge, where they take turns taking on legendary tag teams or Hall of Famer tag teams in a build-up to their rematch at Extreme Rules. So on Monday Night Raw, the Primetime Players would start off the challenge by taking on the team of Hulkamania, Hulk Hogan, and the Ultimate Warrior. And of course, and unfortunately for them, they bit off more than they could chew, and they were defeated by this team of legends. And so tonight, the tag champions, Enzo Amore and Big Cass, they will be taking on their Legends challenge in the main event after this tag team. So they're at ringside, their commentary talking about the rivals, the Primetime Players, and the fact that they failed to step up on Raw, but Enzo and Big Cass, they will step up in the main event and prove to the Primetime Players that they can defeat Legends. They're ready, they can take on anyone. They're the tag team champions, so they should be able to take on any challenge that steps up to them, even if it's a team of Hall of Famers who've got years, decades even, of tag team experience. The champions believe they can take them on. But right now, we have the Primetime Players against former champions Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, who are out to put the former champions to the test, put them through the paces. And despite the stiff challenge from these former champions, the Primetime Players, they kept it together, pulled through. Darren Young hitting the gut check on Tyson Kidd for the win. And, our champions, they were gracious enough to show the Primetime Players some respect. They pulled through, taking on former tag team champions. A good team of former champions, Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. They're no nonsense guys. They put on a great match. And the Primetime Players, they overcame. But who was going to step up for Enzo Amore and Big Cass for that main event? Which legends would answer the call for this challenge? The Primetime Players, they wondered as well. They didn't believe Enzo Amore and Big Cass can defeat whoever's going to step out for them. And they called them out like, you can't defeat whoever's coming up. But Enzo, he backed it up, and he's like, anyone can step up and face the challenges. And as he's talking, the lights go out. And ladies and gentlemen, we don't wait long until those gongs start to ring. And lo and behold, who else would have that kicking out for them than the Brothers of Destruction, The Undertaker, the Phenom, and his brother Kane, the Big Red Machine, the Big Red Monster, or as he's called now, the Devil's Favorite Demon. Though I prefer Big Red Monster, Devil's Favorite Demon just feels a little, I guess it fits into PG Kane, you know what I mean? But Big Red Monster, Big Red Machine, that was Kane. And he's here tonight with his brother, The Undertaker. The Brothers of Destruction have answered the challenge, and they will be facing the tag team champions Enzo Amore and Big Cass in the main event that starts next. Not even the Primetime Players could believe it. Who else could step up? But of all the tag teams, they never thought of the Brothers of Destruction coming out to face the champions. And it reached a point where we had the Brothers of Destruction one side of the ring, the Primetime Players in the middle, and we had the tag team champions on the other side. Primetime Players are stuck wondering, where do they go? They go for the tag team champions, who take them out, turning them around into the Brothers of Destruction, who lay the Primetime Players out with a pair of choke slams. Wrong place, wrong time for the primetime players, and the main event kicks off right afterwards. Now, it truly was time for the champions to put their money where their mouth was. We heard them saying they could take on any challenger. Anyone could step up to face them. They're ready, doesn't matter. And this was the chance to prove it by taking on one of the greatest, most iconic, most legendary tag teams in wrestling, the Brothers of Destruction, Kane and The Undertaker, bringing in nothing less but their A game into this big match against the tag team champions. And they expected the champions to step up as well, bring up their A game. They should, because if they don't, there'll just be another team squashed by the Brothers of Destruction. But the champions, they answered the call for the challenge. They stepped up, meeting the Brothers of Destruction halfway with their own A game, responding to whatever Kane and The Undertaker brought to them. And the Brothers of Destruction, they responded in kind, keeping up with the younger tag team champions, shaking off any ring rust they may have had, just to prove that, as the crowd was chanting, they still got it. You can imagine the pressure on the tag team champions. They've started this Legends challenge. The primetime players, they weren't expecting Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior to be the first legendary team to step up and accept the challenge. They were defeated on Raw, but here we are on SmackDown. Enzo Amore and Big Cass in their first match of the challenge, taking on the Brothers of Destruction. The pressure on the champions to prove the primetime players wrong and their critics wrong, that they could take on a Legends team, and as tag team champions, they're ready and they're strong enough to defeat a team the likes of the Brothers of Destruction. But the Brothers of Destruction, they have experience behind them, and that showed in this match against the tag team champions. They used that to wear the champions out, making the match, slowing the pace of the match down until they found their opening in the tag champs' defense, finally bringing them down with a pair of choke slams. But they weren't done there. They had to do it properly, finish it properly. And what better way to do it than a pair of tombstone pile drivers, Brothers of Destruction, Tombstone, the tag team champions, Enzo Amore and Big Cass, for the 1-2-3. Another loss. The primetime players lost to Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior on Raw. The tag team champions unable to defeat the Brothers of Destruction here on SmackDown. And you ask now, what happens next? Both teams lost their Legends challenges. No one can brag about it. What happens moving forward? We're moving to the last couple of days before our first pay-per-view, Extreme Rules. Are these guys going into that pay-per-view without the momentum from if they had won a match against a legendary team? What happens? We'll find out on Raw. We'll find out next week's SmackDown, just before two specials. We've got the NXT special, and we'll have the Extreme Rules pay-per-view right afterwards to end that week.